Howdy y'all, Fuzzy Biker here in the Fuzzy Biker Garage. It is early morning, the sun hasn't come up yet, but it's on the way. I don't know if you can see that out there. The motorcycle today we're going to talk about is this Royal Enfield Guerrilla 450. I just picked this up day before yesterday. It's my bike. I traded off my beautiful 350 Classic. I love that bike, but it was time, you know, and this is what I got to replace it. Similarities between this bike and that is this is a compact motorcycle. It's low to the ground. It's short. It's got a nimble handling, you know, all that kind of neat stuff. Okay, so what is it? It's kind of a roadster. It's their go out and have fun bike. It's all similar to the Bear in a lot of ways. The Bear's a 650. This is a 450. This has got a, let's start with the engine. It's got the 452 single cylinder, dual overhead cam, 4-valve engine with a 6-speed transmission. Same engine as in the Himalayan. However, I don't know if they've cammed it differently or tuned it differently. You know, I know the electric box is different for sure, and it seems to me there's something different in the gearing, but I can't prove that. But it feels that way when I rode it. I've got about 160 miles on this particular bike. I rode two other. I think I've got 900 miles on these before I got this one. I've got about 1,100 miles on these so far. So the engine, 40 horsepower. Let's see my specs over here. 30 foot-pounds of torque. That's 40 newton meters. It's got 11.5 to 1 compression. I already mentioned the transmission. It's a robust engine. I have this engine in my Himalayan. I've got over 100,000 kilometers on that bike. That's 62,000 miles, over 62,000 miles, and I haven't had any trouble with it. Not a lick of trouble. That bike, we did all the valve checks. We only had to do one valve adjustment, and that thing runs just as good as the day I got it. So this is going to be an interesting motorcycle. It's a lot lower center of gravity. Ground clearance is 6.7 inches. It's about 170 millimeters, so it's a lot lower to the ground. It's got 17-inch tires front and back. Check out that front right there. That is a 120/70/17 on the front. They're tubeless tires, front and rear. Look at that mag. Isn't that neat? We took it out yesterday. Just had a ball on it. Colorado Mark and Omaha Steve, they both have Guerrillas also, and we just went out and just tore it up. Had all kinds of fun. Found the curviest roads we could possibly find, and just had a ball. Front disc is a 310 millimeter disc with a dual piston bibrake caliper. That's kind of an oddball size. And I started looking, and there are actually other bikes that have 310 millimeter disc on it. And it's bigger than a 300, smaller than a 320. But chain drive, by the way. Liquid cooled. There's a radiator right there. On the rear, so the suspension in the front has 5.5 inches of travel. It's 139 millimeters. They're a covered fork, right? This a regular standard fork covered. It's a very nimble handling motorcycle. I mean, you know, I just got back from a 300 mile trip on my Himalayan, 22 days. I hop on this, and this bike is so light and so nimble and so much fun to just throw around. And you know, the Himalayan is more stable. It's got a big 21-inch front tire. It's made for holding the course. You know, this is made for tearing the course up, by golly. On the rear, it's got a monoshock. See that back there? Just like the Himalayan does. I don't think it's the same frame. I think there's a different rake angle. It looks the same, but I think there's similarities, but I don't think it's exactly the same. The rear suspension is 5.9 inches of travel. So 5.9 inches up and down, that's 100, and I've got my list over there, 150 millimeters. The back tire is a 160/60/17, again tubeless. The brake is a 270 millimeter disc with a single piston bibrake caliper. I just had to look to make sure. Seat height on this thing, this is really cool. I think this has a lower seat height than my Classic did, my Classic 350. This is a 30.7 inch seat height. That is a 780 millimeters. This is the stock seat right here. My buddies yesterday, they all have we're calling it the bench seat or the rally seat or whatever, but I'm going to run this seat. I was pretty comfortable with this one. I may get the other one. I've rode the other one, but for now, this is what I'm going to keep. So that's a pretty low seat height, isn't it? I'm pretty proud of that. Wheelbase is 56.7 inches. That's 1,440 millimeters. And boy, you can tell that yesterday in the curves. You know, the lower center of gravity, the low seat height, all your mass is down lower, shorter wheelbase, you know, lighter front end, you know, the 17-inch tire. I mean, we were going through Less Hills. That's in Iowa. Those are our big hills, you know, the Less Hills. Just having a ball in it. It just tore it up. Fuel tank, 11-liter fuel tank, so 2.9 gallons. And we were talking about that quite a bit yesterday. And one thing we've learned is because the fuel cap is off to the side, if you fill this on a kickstand, on the center stand, you will not get as much fuel in it as if you put it on the side. If you put it on the side stand, you'll get about half a gallon more fuel in there. At least that's our preliminary determination. You know, we'll keep an eye on that. And so if you want more fuel in the tank, you leave this one on the side stand to fill it. Whereas the Royal Enfield Himalayan, if you want more fuel than that, you hold it upright or you put it on the center stand to fill it. And that has a more central feed for the fuel. Wet weight on this bike, that's with fuel, 408 pounds. That's 185 kilograms. And boy, could you tell it. It just, by the way, that's lighter than my Classic. I think my Classic was 430 pounds, which is 195 kilograms, I believe. So it's lighter than my Classic. It's got twice the horsepower of my Classic. It's got a similar wheelbase to my Classic. Anyway, it's a very nimble, very good handling motorcycle. We just had a ball on it yesterday. I think those are all the numbers. So like I said, this is all stock. You know, I've gone over all the little bits and pieces. A little bit of a bash guard down there. It's got the, you know, stamped steel shifter. Let's see what kind of a brake lever it has over here. So that's another thing, 6-speed transmission. And what I found yesterday was the gears were very close together. And I thought, you know, is that internal, is that mechanical? Or have they just put a, you know, is the distance from here to here less than on the Himalayan? And I don't have a Himalayan here to measure, but I'll try to measure that today. You know, because if that is shorter, it doesn't have as far to travel up and down. So that's an interesting one. It's got different foot pegs, of course. You know, and it's just a beautiful bike. I love all the lines on this thing. Just a gorgeous, you know, of course, I love them all, don't I? So there you go. It's a lot of fun to ride. Seating position, you're a little tighter in your legs, but not much tighter than Himalayan. Himalayan has a lot more room, I think. You can stand up and down pretty easy. I was standing up and down yesterday for bumps and things like that. It was not a problem at all. You do lean forward a little bit more. You know, the Himalayan is a very sit-upright bike. I'm comparing it to the Himalayan a lot because one is a Royal Enfield and the other one they have the same engine. And this one you reach more toward the bars. We felt that the bars were narrower on this motorcycle than they were on the Himalayan. And so we got a tape measure out at the shop yesterday and we checked that. And the reality is, no, they weren't. Or if they were, it was less than like 3/4 of an inch. So very similar, you know, very much the same thing, you know. One thing about this particular motorcycle, I want to point this out right away before we keep going, is my gauge package. This is one of 10 motorcycles in the States that has this gauge configuration. The other ones have the TFT, much like this motorcycle has. This is the Royal Enfield Bear. And all the other Guerrillas have this system right here, similar to the Himalayan. Now this one, they shipped 10 of these into the country, and I was lucky enough to be able to get one. Baxter Cycle has all the other ones, so if you're interested in one like this, let me know. Let them know. Go to baxtercycle.com. So I've got an analog gauge with an LCD center section about the size of a dollar coin, maybe a little more, about 1.5 inches across in the center. I think this is like 4.5 inches. But look at this on the outside. I've got gold numbering here, or the numbers are white, but the gold background. I've got a fuel gauge right here, gear indicator, clock. Over here, I've got the odometer. Now, if I use this button back here, and we'll go through the buttons here in a second, watch right there. There is trip A, and there's trip B. I just put fuel in it last night right before I brought it home, so that's why that's both 0.0. Down below, I've got an oil light, which is really cool, a neutral light, a battery light. So oil light and a battery light, if you're an old guy like me, those are kind of like 2 must-haves. In the modern age, they're kind of not that big of a deal. But then over here, I've got a turn-by-turn tripper. I have not used that yet on this bike, although I did tie into it just to make sure I connect it with my phone. Royal Enfield has done a lot with their app to make it more convenient and to hook to tighter bikes. And I'm very happy they've done that because it used to be a little bit of a challenge. Going over here, so the clutch lever, the information button right here, or the home button, whatever you want to call it. Flash to pass, low beam, high beam, turn signals, horn. Boy, that's loud in here. Over here, we've got the hazard lights on the back. I like that, by the way. We were running a lot of dirt on the rally in Virginia. I just got back from the Frosty Rally, Harry Terry shop, Gearhead Junction in Pembroke, Virginia. If you're in that part of the country, check that shop out. Anyway, what I found was when we got in the really dust, we were making a lot of dust. I just reached up there and hit that button. My flashers would come on. I was on my Himalayan, and you know, they could see me better and I could see them better also. And then to turn it off, you just hit it again. Anyway, kill switch. I got my blinkers running. That's the run switch. You can hear the fuel pump. And that's run. That's how you start it. You rock it this way. We'll do that again. Center, rock it this way, and it starts. This is a dead stock bike. Everything's stock. I've not touched anything with the engine yet. So that is me gusta mucho. I love it. You can put a cruise control on this. This is fly-by-wire technology, just like the Himalayan. And I'm going to contact Veridian. Colorado Mark and Omaha Steve both had cruise controls on theirs. I'm going to get myself one ordered up. Maybe I'll do that this morning. Actually, I can get it back to Cycle. They have them too. So Veridian cruise control is on my Royal Enfield Himalayan is just, if you buy a Himalayan, just go ahead and put the cruise control on. And I think that's what's going to happen here. My Himalayan, I've ridden that in the last 14 months, over 100,000 kilometers, over 60,000 miles. That cruise control was invaluable, and it works so well. It's got set, mile up, mile down, cancel, resume, just like a normal, just like a car does. Anyway, so those are the that's the switch gear. The forks are not adjustable. They are Showa forks. The shock on the rear is a Showa shock also, and that is something I think is very important. The mirrors are standard mirrors. I've got some extenders coming out. All I could see was my shoulders in here yesterday. I don't think I have particularly wide shoulders, but I seem to have that problem because I'm putting in those extenders on my bike. So that's something else. As far as like storage and luggage on this bike, of course it's a roadster, so there's really nothing that comes with it. I put this on this morning. I wanted to see how it looked. I'll ride the bike with that for a while and see how it works. It's something I had here in the shop. I thought about getting on my Bear, I've got one of those. This is my good friend Tony's bike, and look at this. He's done that in his. So he's got side pockets. He's got more storage in this. He can take it on and off easy enough. This is a Rhino Walk tank bag. They also sell one that's a dedicated tail bag, but the tank bag and the tail bag are essentially the same, just the strappings that you get with it. They sell these at BackToCycle.com, and I might go with one of those because this is one big open pouch. This has got the side pockets and the let's open that up and take a look at it. You can tie stuff to the top. It's got webbing. Okay, maybe I shouldn't be looking through his stuff here. But anyway, it's got a lot of room in it. And also it's expandable. You can unzip this and it'll pop up. You can get a little more room on it. I've got the same thing on this bike here. This is my Bear, of course. And check that out. I don't want to lose that. I think I'm going to ride this bike today. I rode this one all day yesterday, 150 miles, and I just had a ball on it. So probably 160 miles actually. So this might be the bike to ride today. They cover a lot of the same space. They're good handling, they're powerful, they're a lot of fun. These are both very fun motorcycles to ride. I think that is their key feature, the word fun in capital letters with exclamation point before and after. It's just a hoot to ride these bikes. I was just this is lighter, more compact. Power to weight ratio is the same from bike to bike. That one has more torque. I'm going to take that one out today and see what I can learn. I mean, it's going to be fun. Tomorrow I'm going to run out. I've got a big trip planned for this, about 250 miles, and that'll get the oil to where we need to get to for the changing. But boy, had a lot of fun on it. Other things I'd like to do to this bike, I don't know yet. See how it looks silver? It looks silver on the camera, doesn't it? It looks silver right now too. This is not a silver bike, and you'll see we got something coming for this pretty quick. So it looks silver, but it's not silver. So there's something big going on there. I don't know about getting a pipe. I was with those guys yesterday. Mark has a Zard on his. Steve has an AEW. Steve was having trouble keeping that front wheel on the ground. And I was pretty envious. Of course, this thing will wheelie at ease. I mean, I shouldn't promote that, and I'm not promoting that. But anyway, it's a very capable and fun bike in that sense. Short wheelbase. It's loads of torque. It's just so I don't know what I'm planning to do with this. I plan to use this bike a lot like I use that bike, and that is for running around, being a hooligan, running through the hills around here and stuff like that. It is a very capable motorcycle. It is limited by the tank size, but You know, I don't know. I took one of these on a 500-mile day ride. It was 577 miles, something like that, one day. And I just had a ball in it. You know, I just had to stop every 120 miles to get fuel. So that's pretty close to what you have to stop on that. About the same, actually. My Himalayan, he can go about 150, so 150, 180, depending on what you're doing. It's a grand bike. It's a grand bike, and I'm going to go have some fun on it. If you're interested in a bike like this, in a new or used Royal Enfield, Triumph, classic British bike of any type, parts, accessories, Sigma-jigs, doodads, anything at all. Helmets. Speaking of helmets, I got a new one, Shoei Neotech 3. My other helmet was a Shoei Neotech 2. It had over 100,000 miles on it. It was a year and 4, 5, 6 months old. And it was time for a new one. And I'll do a review on those two. If you need any of that kind of stuff, get over to Baxter Cycle in the mighty Minneapolis of Marnie, Iowa, or go to baxtercycle.com. They are in the process. They have a new warehouse, and it's just going to be Royal Enfield parts. They're already one of the, if they're not the largest, they're one of the largest Royal Enfield parts supplier in America. They certainly are going to be that very soon. They've been working on the warehouse for weeks, and it's a work in progress. A lot of effort going in there, and you know, you need parts for your Royal Enfield, parts, accessories, doodads, anything at all. Get yourself over to baxtercycle.com. Those guys can help you out. Now, the sun's coming up, a little more light out there. I'm going to get ready to go. Life is good, my friends. Get off the couch, get out of that easy chair, get out and live it. Wahoo! That's the guy. That's the guy that owns it.
Oh, that's the
dude.
Keep the greasy side down.
Wahoo! Vermont. Wahoo!
Wahoo!
Wahoo, Alaska!